This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So in the last session, we have discussed about how to copy the objects from one task to another task across the request. Okay. Now let us discuss about something called as version management. Version management. So version management, it is nothing but it is a process of comparing the source code changes between two versions. I repeat, it is a process of comparing the changes made to an object between the two versions. Okay, so to understand that, what I'll do is I'll create one program. Okay, I'll create one program and I'll save that program in a package and I'll assign that to a change request. Then I'll release it. Okay, then again after that, I'll do the same changes. I'll do again some changes to the same program. Okay, I'll release it. Then I want to compare the changes between the two versions within the same program. What are the changes you have done? Means what are the additional lines we have incorporated, or what are the existing lines we have modified or deleted. All those changes I should be able to identify, and whichever version you want to retrieve back, we can retrieve. Okay, so what I'll do is let me create a program here. So I'll go to SC38. Right, hope my voice is audible and clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll go to SC38. Right, I'll create a program here. Let me give the program name as something Z program or Z test program 100. Okay, so what is the object name? Z test program 100. I'll create. I'll give the title here, some title. Type of program is what? Executable program. Yeah, type of program is executable program. Let us save it. So if you want to assign this object to a change request, we must store it in a transportable package. So I'll give the package name as, what is the package name which we created earlier? Z Gensoft package. I'll give the package name. I'll save it. What happened? Package Z Gensoft package does not exist. Acha, I think there is a different. I'll just cancel this. Let me cancel this. It is a different server, I think. So let me recreate the package here. So how do you create the package? In Object Navigator, I'll go to SC80. Yeah, from the drop down. Yeah, from the drop down, I'll choose package. Let me give the package name as something Z Gensoft package. Yeah, Z Gensoft package does not exist. Create the object. Okay, I'll give the description as something something test package. Right, what is the software component? OM, which indicates what? Customer developments. Else continue. Right, it is asking for the change request. It is asking for the change request. I'll try to create a new request. Okay, short description. I'll give a description as something request one. Save it. So what is the request number got generated? Something DP double K 900131. Continue. Yeah, package is what created, right? So I'll save the object inside this particular package. So I'll go to SC38. I'll create the program Z test program 100, create, provide some title. What is the type of program? Executable program. Let us save it in what? Local object. Okay, I'll save it in the local object. Sorry, I'm sorry. I have to save it in a package. Then only I can assign it to a change request. So what is the package? We have Z Gensoft package. Save it. Yeah, it is asking in which request you want to save this particular object. So I'll choose the request what Z DP double K 900131. If you browse here, yeah, you can see under this request we'll have what? A task. What is the task here? 132. 132. So even if I choose task here, it will always show request only. Yeah, it is a request, continue. Right. So I'll write some changes here. This is my source code. So I'll say something Core Abap. Then here I'll say something Oops Abap. Then I'll say Cross Apps Abap. Cross Apps Abap. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate this. Yeah, it is saved in a transportable package. That's why this tab is highlighted. Done. So object is in what status? Active status. And we have saved this object in what? A package. Okay, it is saved in a package. So if you go to transport organizer SC09, yeah, what is the user here? In my case, the username is 91 user 20. Okay, this is my username. And what is the request type here? Workbench request. Yeah, request type is workbench request. Okay, request type is workbench request. And request status is what? Modifiable. Okay, requested is modifiable. If I display, I can see here. What is the username here? 91 user 20. This is a request number. Under this request number, right? Under this request number, we have the task. What is that? 900132. Okay, under this task, obviously we have a package and we have the program. What is the program here? Z test program 100. So I am done with my development. Okay, and I want to release this particular what task. So how do you release the task here? I'll just choose this, click on what? Release directly. Okay, so I'll choose the task first. I'll release the release the task. Yeah, it's key. I got a message what? The task 900132 has been released. Okay, I'll release the request also. So I'll just choose the request here, click on release directly. So when you're practicing in your systems, you may have some issues here while releasing the task, releasing the request. So we don't have any control on that. It is how the software is installed. So I cannot do anything from my side. Someone sent me the mail regarding that, saying that you are able to release all the tasks, but there is a problem in releasing the request. So it depends on the installation, but the concept is what same whatever I explained. Okay, if any issue is there in that installation process, you may get some errors at the time of releasing the task or at the time of releasing the request. So we cannot control anything from our side. It is taken care by basis consultant. So in the real time also, in case if you get that kind of issues, means if you're unable to release the task or unable to release the request, you send that screenshot to the concerned person. That is generally the basis consultant. He will take care of that particular what issue. Okay, but as a developer we cannot do anything from our side, right? So when you're practicing, if you get any errors, just ignore refer to the recording and understand that is a process for releasing the task and request. So I'll try to release a request here. I'll choose a request here, click on what release directly. Yeah, you can see here, it has been released. The request has been released. So if you go back, now I need to select what, if you want to see that, I can select what released. If I display, it will show you that. So what I'm trying to convey here is, so what we have done is, we have the main request DPKK 900 is a main request. Under this, we have what DPKK 900132 is a task. Okay. Under this task, we have the package and the program. What is the program name? Z test program 100. So we have successfully able to release the task. Na? Understood? We are able to release the task and we are able to release the request. Right? So once a request is released, okay, once a request is released, what happens is a version gets generated. So once the request is released, this is called as what? One version. Okay, one version gets generated. So assume that this is what? Version 1. This is version 1. Okay. Now what I'll do? Okay, so we have released the task, we have released the request, right? We have sent the screenshot to the basis consultant or to the concerned person. What he will do? He will do the actual transportation of this request from what development to what quality system. Tester has started testing. That process will continue. Now again, customer has came up with a new requirement. Okay, in that requirement, I have to do the changes. Okay, in that requirement, I have to do the changes to the existing program itself. Okay, what is that program name? Z test program 100. Okay, in that same program, I need to do some changes. Already that object is developed, already that object got released. Okay, and that version is what? Version 1. Now, due to some changes in the business, customer will come up with a new requirement. So to implement that requirement, I need to modify, I need to do some changes in the existing object. So let me do the changes now. Observe here. SC38. Okay, I'll go to SC38. Then what I'll do, I'll open the same program. This program is already developed. Okay, already we have assigned to the task, we have assigned to the request, we have released the task and request. One version got generated internally. Now, in order to implement the new requirement, I need to do some changes here. So what I'll do here, what is the change I'll do? I'll just implement some new line. I'll say right here, I'll say something complete abap. Understood? I'm doing some changes. Then here I'll say something uline. Am I clear? I'm doing some changes. Okay. Then here I'll say something right. What? Abapana. Something like this. So in the existing program, I've done some changes. Okay, I've included some new line in the beginning or somewhere else. Then I've done some changes to what? Code changes. Here cross app sub app is there. I'll change it to something cross application sub app. I'm doing some changes wantedly. Okay, I'll try to save it. So when I try to save it, again it is asking for the request. Why it is asking for the request? Because earlier request already got released. Na? If it is not released, our changes would have been captured in the same request. But that object, that request is already released. Okay, since it is already released, it is asking for what? New request. If it is not released, what are the new changes we have done? That changes would have been saved in the same object. same request. Okay, so I'll go for a new request now. Okay, I'll click on what button, what new request. I'll give the description as for our understanding. I'll give the description as something request to save it. So what happens? A request got generated 133. Obviously, under this request, one task also will be there. Now, what is the task here? 134. So even if I choose task here, it will always show what? The request. It will always show the request. Okay, done. Continue. Right? I'll say continue. Right, that's it. So save it, check for the syntax, activate. Right, so I have done with the changes to the object. Let me try to release. I'll try to release. I'll go to what SE09 transport organizer. Okay, this is the user. What is the request type? Workbench request. What I have to choose here? Modifiable display. So you can see this is a new request 133 and 134. If I expand this, what is the program here? Z test program 100. Assume that I am done with the changes. I'm done with the development. Let us release the task. So I'll choose this task. Click on what? Release directly. Task got released. I'll choose the request, click on release directly. Request also gets what? Released. Yeah, request has been released. Request has been released. Okay. So what I have done is, so if you confirm, if you go to SC09, if I choose what? Released, if I display, yeah, I can see 133 is the request. Under that, we have what? The task. What is the task here? 134. Am I clear? 134. So what happened here? This is another separate request. So what is that request here? DP9K or DPKK 900. What is that? 133. Okay, under this request, we have what? One task DPKK 900134. Okay, the same object we have done the changes na Z test program 100. Now what we have done? We have released, right? We have released this task. We have released the task and we have also released what? The request. So what happens the moment you release the request, one version gets generated. Na? So for the same object Z test program 100, one more version got generated. What is this version here? Yes, version what? Something 2, version 2. Okay, so two versions are there for the same object. Now what I'll do, again customer will come up with a new requirement because of change in the business requirement. Customer will come up with a new requirement. To implement that new requirement, again assume that I need to do some changes to the existing object. So let me do the changes. I'll go to SC38. I'll open the same object 100, create, not create, change. Right, so I'll do some changes here. What is the change I'll do? Somewhere here I'll include some new lines. Okay, I'll include some new lines. Yeah, I'll say something format color 3. I'll say something right. What? UI5 front end. Okay, so I'm doing some changes. UI5 what? Backend. Okay, I'll say U line here. Okay, I want to remove this line. So I'm doing some changes. Wantedly, I'm doing some changes. Format color what? 4. Format color 4. Okay, so I have done some changes again. What is that? I have deleted some existing lines. I have added new lines. I have modified something. Okay, so save it. Again, it is asking for the request na? Because earlier request also got released. Since it is already released, it is asking for the new request. So let me go for click on the button create request. Here only I am creating the request. Otherwise, you can go to SC09 and you can create the request first. Then you can select that request here. Otherwise, while saving the object only, I can go for creating the new request. I'll give the description as something what? Request 3 something. I'll save it. Okay. What is the request got generated? 135. Might be under that 135. We have what 136 is a task. I'll choose a task here. It will show the request. Continue. Done. I'll activate the object. I'll activate the object. Is it clear? Okay. So let me try to release this also. So I'll go to SC09. Yeah. What I have to do, if I want to choose, if I want to view the unreleased request, you have to select what? Modifiable display. So it is not at release. So this is the same object, report source code 100. So I'll just choose this 136. I'll click on release directly. Task is released. I'll choose a request, click on what release directly. Okay, continue. The syntax of objects is correct. Okay, I'll just choose this, click on what? Release directly. Yeah, it also got released. So if you go back, if you see the released task, which have been released today or since yesterday or whatever it is, okay. If I choose this, it will show you that. Today I released what? 3 requests, 131, 133, 135. So what I'm trying to project here is for the same object, overall omni versions are there? 3 versions, DPK 900, what is this? 135. Under this, the task is what DPKK 900136. What is the object name? Z test program what 100. So we have released the task and we also released what? The request. So the moment you release the request, what happens? Yes, the moment you release the request, one version gets what? Generated. This is your what? Version 3. This is a version 3 and obviously this is the what latest version. No? This is the latest version. So if I open the program here, understood, 3 versions are available. So if you go back and open the program, obviously it will open the latest version. What is the latest version? Something like this: format color 3, UIFI front end, back end, so and so, which is nothing but the latest version. So what I mean to say is, for a object, there are 3 versions are available. Okay. So as a developer, can I remember the changes that I have done? In this case, it is a small program. Yes, I can remember. But if you take a lengthy program which has got hundreds and thousands of lines, right? I might have done the changes at different times. I might have done it 1 year back, 2 years back, 3 months back. So I cannot remember the changes. Am I clear? But the same object has got how many versions? 3 versions. Am I clear? Now what I have to do? What I have to do? I need to do the version management. Means I need to compare the similarities and differences between the versions. Am I clear? I need to compare the similarities and differences between the versions. As part of that comparison, as part of that analysis, whichever version you want to retrieve, whichever version you want to retrieve back, we can retrieve. Am I clear? So what is the meaning of version management? A version management is a process of, it is a process of comparing the similarities and differences between what? Multiple versions. And based on that comparison, come up with some analysis. Based on that analysis, whichever version you want to retrieve back, you can retrieve. So whenever you retrieve any version, the current version will be replaced with the retrieved version. The current version will be replaced with the retrieved version. Am I clear? So this is the process. So this object has got how many versions? 3 versions. When I open that object, obviously it will open with the latest version. What is the latest version here? This one. Now 19135 and 136, something like this. Yeah. Any questions so far? Right. So now what I have to do? I have to do the version management. Means I need to compare the 2 versions to identify the similarities and what differences, and whichever version you want to retrieve back, we can retrieve. Am I clear? So see this. So how do you do the version management means? How do you do the compare the version means? So this is for this object. I don't know how many versions are there. I may have one version or I may have 100 versions. Okay. So let me do the comparison. So what I'll do in my initial screen, that is in the ABAP editor, I'll provide that particular object name, Z test program 100. I'll choose the menu utilities. Am I clear? In the initial screen itself, provide your program name, choose the menu utilities, versions. What is this? Version management. Am I clear? Choose the menu utilities, versions and version management. Okay. So this is my object name, utilities, versions, version management. So when I choose this, yeah, you can see and observe this carefully. Versions in the version database. Yeah, you can see how many versions are there overall? Three versions. One, two, three. One is a version associated with what request? 131. Second version is associated with what request? 133. Third version is associated with what? 135. That's what we identified now. 131, 133, and 135. Three different versions are available. And what is the current active version? This one. So obviously the active version and this third version both are same. Na? Am I clear? You can see on the top version in the development database and version in the version database. If I select this one, the active version, and if I choose this one, obviously both are same. Na? The active version is nothing but the last version. What is that? 3. So even if I compare these two, I may not get any what differences. Both are similar. Na? Let me try to do that. So I'll just choose select this particular checkbox. Right? I'll select these checkboxes. Right? So I'll choose the menu, go to, sorry, not go to, select the required versions, whichever you want to compare. I'm selecting the active version and this third version. So somewhere here you can see on the application toolbar, there is a button. After this display button, there is a button called as compare on the application toolbar. Just before this retrieve button, I'm having got compare button. So if I click on the compare button, observe this. Yeah, what is saying here, you can see, I got a message clearly. There are no differences in the sources of these versions because the active version is nothing but the latest version. Na? That's why it is saying what there are no differences in the source code of these two versions. So what I'll do here, I'll go back. Let me select the third version and the second version, or I can select this active version and the second version. Anything is fine. So I'm selecting this active version, which is nothing but the latest version, and I'll select what? The second version. Obviously, there would be some differences, no? There would be some similarities, and there would be some differences. So let me select those two checkboxes, and I'll click on what? Compare button. So when I click on the compare button here, understood, I'm selecting the active version and the second one. So when I click on the compare button, right, I'm clicking on the compare button. So when I click on this, good, you can see here, observe here, contents unchanged, left hand column and right hand column. You can see contents unchanged is what? U line. Okay, am I clear? U line, and what following lines are added, format color for content unchanged. So I'm getting something like this. Can I change the settings? I'll click on settings here. Let me choose what? Parallel display. I'll choose parallel display. When I continue, I think this would be much better. So I can see here, this is the active version, which is nothing but the current version, and this is the version I selected. What is this? DP9KK 133. So you can clearly identify the difference. After cross applications ABAP, there are the lines added, no? And you can see in between this U line and ABAP, there is one line here. What is this? Format color for. Okay, so I can clearly identify what are the differences. So if I click on this, what next difference? If I click on the button next difference, here you can see it is highlighting this one. This is a difference. Okay, this is a difference. Okay, no more differences found. Am I clear? Suppose once again, if you see, if I select the active and this one, there are no differences. No? If I click on compare, what is saying? It is clearly saying there are no differences in the sources, right? I'll select this one and I'll select the first one. Click on what compare button. Yeah, we can see clearly it is showing you the differences. Okay, this is your first version 131. This is the version 1. Okay, there are 3 lines are available: Core Abap, Oops Abap, and Cross Abap. So clearly it is, you can see here, it is showing in which lines what got added and which lines got modified. So in the 5th line here, Cross Apps Abap is there. Here what is there? Cross Applications Abap. So like that, we can identify the similarities and what differences between what 2 versions. Am I clear? Like this, it is not so easy. We have to check multiple versions like this, analyze it carefully. So what is my requirement now is, so if I open the current version, this is a current version. So I have done the comparison between multiple versions. Am I clear? I have done the comparison multiple versions, and what I want, I have decided to go back to the first version according to the new business requirement. According to the new business requirement, I need to retrieve back the first version. After retrieving back, I can do further changes in that if you want. So the first version is closely matching with the current requirement. So I cannot do the changes in the source code, na? Right? So like that, you will do the comparison. You will retrieve that particular version. So current version has got some 12 lines. This is the current version. So what is my requirement now? After doing the comparison between multiple versions, I have decided to retrieve back what? First version. So whenever I retrieve the old version, what happens? The current version will be replaced with the retrieved version. So the current version is this one, which has got around 12 lines. Complete ABAP, UI5 front end, and this is ABAP. So this will be retrieved with the this will be replaced with what? The retrieved version. Let us see how to retrieve. Before I do that, any questions so far? Okay. So let me, I've decided to retrieve back the first version. So what I'll do here, how do I retrieve? If I open it in change or display mode, or if I go to utilities, what is this? Versions, version management. The active version is this one. I have decided to get back the first version. So you select the appropriate version whichever you want to retrieve. I'll select this first version 131. Select this checkbox. Select the appropriate version whichever you want to retrieve. Select that. On the application toolbar, there is a button called as what? Retrieve. Am I clear? If I click on the retrieve button, understood? Select this. I'll click on the retrieve button. So when I click on the retrieve button, right? When I click on the retrieve button, yes, what happened here? See, I got a message. The current version of the program will be overwritten by the older version. This only applies to the source code. Before it is overwritten, a temporary version will be created. So I'll say continue. Good. So when it is retrieving the old version, it is asking for the new requests again because already the earlier requests are released. Na? So where you want to put this retrieved version? Let us go for what? This one. I'll give the description as something request for, right? I'll continue. Am I clear? I'll click on continue. Yes, you can see now it might have retrieved. So if you go back and open the program, see here, if I open the program, good. What happened? The current version got overwritten with the retrieved version. So after retrieving the appropriate older version, you decide what further changes you want to do. Am I clear? So now I can do whatever changes I want. Understood? So this entire process is called as what? Version management. So why this is very important is in the real time, same object we need to modify again and again. Why again and again means customer will come up with new requirements, or initially you didn't understand the requirement properly, or a functional consultant may not given the requirement properly, or whatever the reason, the same object will keep on modifying. Understood? So sometimes what will happen is you want to get back the older version. Functional consultant will say that I am happy with the older one. Get the functional back to the older one. So I cannot do the changes once again because I don't know what changes I've done. So like this, we have to compare multiple versions. Whichever version you feel closely meeting with the requirement, you'll retrieve that particular version so that the current version will be overwritten with the retrieved version. Now you decide how you want to do it. I can use that retrieved version as it is, or after retrieving, if you want, you can do the further changes. That's all. This process is called as version management. Any questions, please? No questions? Right. So this is about the version management. So we are almost done with this transport concept. And the one more thing which better we know is we have two types of requests: workbench request and customizing request. Workbench request and customizing request. So workbench request means what? It will capture the changes made to what? Repository and what? Dictionary objects. So we have seen that workbench request from last few days. Now customizing request is generally used by what? Functional consultant. And as part of the customizing request, what happens is configuration related changes will be captured. Data related changes will be captured. So, and so that is generally used by whom? By the functional consultant. So just to give an idea, this is only for the information. You may or may not use that, but even if you are working as a techno functional consultant, we might be using this. Otherwise also it is better we have the knowledge on this. So what is this customizing requirements? Configuration related data changes will be captured in the customizing request. For example, suppose if I go to ABAP dictionary SC11, uh, we have many standard tables now. So one of the standard table is T137. T137, which will store what? Industries. Industries for what? Materials. That's the industry sector. So we have a field here MBRSH. What is this MBRSH? Character of one industry sector. So how many industry sectors are defined here in the system, SAP system? How many industry sectors are there? 14 industry sectors are there. Execute here. These are the available industry sectors. Am I clear? So if you browse here, it is showing you all the 14 industry sectors. Okay, one means retail, two means aerospace, three means service provider, fourth means education service, something like that. Now my customer requirement is, okay, he wants one additional industry sector like five. We have up to 1, 2, 3, 4. I want one industry sector like five. I want to give the description as what? Software training. Software training. Am I clear? So understood. Every customer will have their own requirements. So they are the industry sectors given by SAP itself by default. Means whenever we install the SAP system, by default we are having these industry sectors. But assume that we are implementing SAP for a customer. According to the customer business requirement, he wants one industry sector with the description as software training. So what the functional consultant has to do? as he has to configure that particular industry sector what 5. So where this functional configuration is done is customization. We call it as customization. This is generally done by using the T code SPRO. SPRO is the transaction code which is mainly used by functional consultant for doing the customizing changes. So I'll go to what SPRO is the transaction code. Am I clear? I'll go to SPRO, continue. Yeah, you can see here on the application toolbar, there is a button called as what? SAP reference IMG. On the application toolbar, there is a button SAP reference IMG, SAP reference implementation guide. So all these are navigation which is known to the functional consultant. We need not worry about that, but as an ABAP consultant, as your experience grows on, we should have the knowledge on this also so that you can work as what? Techno-functional consultant. So all the functional configuration will be done in what? SPROT code. So I'll go to SAP reference IMG. Yeah, I'm getting some nodes here. So I need to select the appropriate node. I need to select the appropriate node to configure the additional industry sector. So if I'm a MM consultant, if I'm a functional consultant from MM background, I will be called as what? MM consultant, material management. But we are an ABAP consultant, so I don't know where that configuration has to be done. If I know, I can directly go and select. Understood? So since we don't know, if I'm MM consultant, I'll be expected to know the exact path. I can directly select that particular path wherever it is available. But since we don't know, for practice purpose, what I'll do is I'll click on the find button. What is the agenda here? I have to define what? Industry sector. So I'll click on the find button. Here I'll give the search term as define industry sector. Define industry sector, or simply I'll search for industry sector, or I'll search for create industry sector. Like that, I'll search with different patterns. So I'm choosing what? I'm providing what? Define industry sector. I'll continue. So when I continue, yeah, you can see here, it is giving you some places where I can configure the industry sector. So what are the industry sector I want to configure now? It is related to material master MM module. So I'll choose the third one. What is this? Define industry sectors and industry sector specific field selection. So I'll choose what? Material master. Am I clear? Define industry sectors and industry sector specific field selection. What is the area here? Material master. Okay, I'll just choose this, continue. Yeah, it will take me to the exact path where I can configure. So I can see here, this is the place it seems where I can configure the industry sector, where it is available under logistic general, under material master, under field selection, we have this node. So if I'm an MM consultant, I might be aware of this path. I can directly go to this. Since we don't know, I just search for that pattern and I'm able to identify. I'll click on the execute button here. If I click on the execute button, yeah, you can see it. It is showing what? 1 of 14. How many entries are there by default here? 14 entries. These 14 entries only we are able to see in the table T137 where it stores all the industry sectors. So entry 1 of 14. So they are the available industry sector. So what is my customer requirement now? You want one more industry description, industry sector like 5. Okay, and what is the description you want to give? Software trading. So they are the things I have to give: industry sector, industry description, and the field reference itself. So if I'm MM consultant, I don't know, I know what is this field reference. Others just ignore, just for practice purpose. I'll click on this. Is like a table maintenance. For the T137 table, this is the table maintenance where I am maintaining the table now through the SPRO. I'll click on new entries. Yeah, industry sector, I'll give it as 3 here. Am I clear? Not 3, 5. 5. I'll give the description as something software training. Software training. I'll give some description whatever I want. Okay, done. It is asking one mandatory column field reference. So I'll just browse here. I'll select one of the existing entry. I'll go for A. Okay, done. Save it. So I'm trying to save this. So I'm trying to configure a new industry sector. When I try to save it, yeah, you can see the title here. Prompt for what? Customizing request. It is asking for what request? Customizing request. Earlier, when you are working with the repository and dictionary objects, it will ask you for what? Workbench request. All the configuration related data changes will be captured in what? Customizing requests. Am I clear? So I'll choose, since I don't have any customizing request available, I'll click on what? Create request. I'll give the request something Gensoft customizing request, something. Okay, save it. Yeah. What happened? One request got created 139, it seems. 139. Okay, under this 140 is a task, right? So even if I choose task, it will show you the request only. Continue. Done. Data is saved. That's all. Just save it. Go back. So you can see here how many entries are there? One of 15. One of 15. Am I clear? So if you go to the table and check now, what is the table for industry sectors? T137. So if I go to T137 table, if I show you the contents, number of entries. How many entries are there? 15, right? So if you browse here, yes, what is this? 5 software trading Gensoft. So what are the data, what are the configuration I have done in SPROT code? It is coming and sitting in one of the standard table. These are called our configuration data changes. So if you go to SC09, right? So we have workbench request. I'll select what? Customizing request. I'll choose what? Modifiable. I'll display. Yes, it is showing you now. What is that? 139. This is the request description I gave. This is a customizing task. If I expand this, yeah, IMG activity. I've done some IMG activity in the implementation guide. In the what you have done, we have defined the industry sector. Okay, we have maintained that particular view. What is the corresponding view at the background? V137. Table is T137. So understood. What is the table at T137? T137T is a description table for the industry sector. Okay, so it is showing some information here. You need not worry. Then once this is done, you can click on or release directly. Same process. So basically, two types of requests: workbench request and customizing request. As an ABAP consultant, 99.99% will always be using what? Workbench request, because we are responsible for developing what? Repository and what? Dictionary objects. Functional consultant will do the customization changes, configuration related changes, that is captured in what? Customizing request. That's it. So this is about the overall information related to transport management. Any questions? So as part of this, we have discussed how to create the package, and we understood the types of requests, workbench requests, customizing requests. We understood what is a request. A request is a collection of tasks. Okay, if you want to transport your object to the next configured system, compulsory you have to save your object in a transportable package. Then only it is assigned to a change request. So once all the tasks are released, the user can, the owner of the request can release the main request. We can release the task only if all the objects are in what? Active status. Suppose there are some objects which require some more time for development, okay, but other objects has to be immediately transported for testing purpose. So in that case, we need to transport, we need to copy the objects from one task to what? Another task across the request. So last session we have discussed that, and today we discussed about version management and what else? Customizing request. So this knowledge is more than sufficient. Yeah, any queries, please ask. Any questions? Okay. So, acha, one small communication. For the 8:30 batch participants, I'm asking this. You want me to continue at this timings or you want at 8:30 only? Those are from 8:30 slot. You want me to continue in the same time 6:15 slot or you want at 8:30? Swapna, Sai, Rohit, Jyoti, Bhavani.
If continues
No
it's
problem, sir. You
six
can
fifty.
continue.
But I observed some of the participants are not attending. I don't know what is the reason. 6:15 is fine for everyone, right? Bhavani,
Yes, sir.
Swapna,
Yes, sir.
fine, na? So what will do is,
Yes, sir, fine.
so next session also will continue at same time 6:15. That is on Monday. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow I'll not take any session. So Monday will continue at 6:15. Right? The other batches also same time 6:15. What are the pending topic is there for your batch? I'll cover that from Monday onwards. So all the batches please attend at same time 6:15 on Monday. Okay. So any questions before I log off? Okay. So I think for Ashish and Akshay batch, we are left over with scripts and smart forms, right? Scripts and smart forms. Okay, so I'll plan it from Monday at same time. So Monday we'll meet again at 6:15. And other batch, Sandeep and I don't know who else is there in that batch. So you people also attend same time 6:15 Monday. Okay.
Sir, excuse me,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, Rija.
Sir, if you start cross applications, will you continue at 6:15 batch only?
Yeah, most probably Srija. Most probably.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll wind up then. We'll meet again on Monday. Monday same time 6:15. Chal. Thanks everyone.